Imagine owning one property and having it outperform true traditional rentals. Today, we are talking about a strategy investors are quietly using to generate serious cash flow: Airbnb and short stay accommodation. And while most investors are fighting over tiny rental yields, some are creating hotel-like returns from residential properties. Today, I'm joined by Gary and Bhavesh, two investors who have transitioned from traditional Melbourne investing to short stay and Airbnb strategies, particularly in Hobart and Tasmania. We'll unpack what's worked, what hasn't, numbers behind the strategy, and why more investors are moving towards positive cash flow properties. Let's start from the beginning. Welcome to the Property Triangle, episode number 7. Gary, I'll start with you. How did you get into property?
No, thanks for having us, Arpit. How did I start? It was a funny story, and I'll try to keep it short. So I got my permanent residency in 2020. I was on the way to play. I was going for a cricket game on Saturday, and one of the real estate agent called me and said, "You want to come and have a look at this property?" I said, "Oh, all right, it's on the way. I'll come and pop in." And I was with my friend. Had a look. It was under $400,000, 3-bed, 1 bath, 400 square meter, and that's how much I could borrow at the time. And there was a stamp duty discount going on at the time, 50%. Yeah, didn't look anywhere else. Made an offer, got the property, and rest is history.
Amazing. And Baz, what's your story?
Just to give you some more context, I come from a business family, and all my life we've just been talking about properties. Like, we have got a manufacturing business of shirts, but all my life I heard from my father that the business income or the business profits is just to pay the interest. You borrow as much as you can and buy a property, and you run businesses just to pay down the interest. So the seed was always there. Starting my property investing here and just waiting for the PR. I got that and got into Airbnb. And now we're here.
Yeah, perfect. And what were you doing in Melbourne previously, like before property?
So I was working as a BDM, as a business development manager for a digital marketing agency. So it's a funny question that you asked, because my job was to sell SEO, paid ads, and website optimization service. So by default, I got into this real estate space. So I worked very closely a lot of real estate agents, mortgage brokers, and property management company. And that's where, so you can't sell someone if you are not aware of their pain points. Right?
Absolutely.
So I got a front row seat to get a complete understanding around their business. And so while doing that, got a clear understanding around Airbnb. And that's how I got the courage, started my own Airbnb investment, and now we're here.
Amazing. And when did you realize, Gary, that Airbnb was a different strategy?
In 2022, when I bought my second property, and I was living in Tasmania for good 10 years, and then I decided to move to Melbourne, and we bought this property for 800 plus at the time. And me and my wife, we thought if we put it on a long-term rental, it's not going to cover the mortgage. And it's such a beautiful property. I don't want to put it on long-term rental. So, I love traveling. So we've been to a few Airbnbs, and we said, let's give it a shot. So we left our furniture as it is, moved to, other side of the ditch in Melbourne, and then ran Airbnb for 1 year, and the very first year it made us $97,000 as a gross income.
And this was in Hobart, was it?
This is in Hobart.
Amazing.
And it's in Sorel suburb. And then I then renovated my next one. Converted that one, and now we're running a full business out of it.
Amazing. And Bhavesh, why Hobart? So compare like Hobart with Melbourne market.
So credit goes to Gary here. So he's my co-founder at Jasper Advocacy. And just to give you some more context, I got into Airbnb through the same job. I got to meet a lot of businesses. That's where I met this company, and they are doing very good. Like they are managing close to 300 apartments in CBD, South Bank, and Docklands. Every time I spoke with them, I learned a lot. So they were full of wisdom, and they were like generous enough to teach me as well.
Fair enough.
So I genuinely appreciate that. And I started this buyer's advocacy business, Jasper Advocacy, in a way that anyone buying properties here in Melbourne, South Bank, CBD, or Docklands, like particularly who wants to buy apartment,
Yeah.
I am very confident that I can add a significant value to your purchase. So the business was just focused on getting properties in inner city
Yep.
here in Melbourne.
Yep.
But then Gary was my client.
Hmm.
I got him a property in Preston, a townhouse in Preston.
Yep.
We had a great learning curve. Got really friendly with each other. Learned a lot. And then one thing that we faced the concern out of a lot of investors was apartments are good for cash flow, but not for capital growth. It's quite evident now.
Yep.
And then Gary and I worked together. He has lived in Hobart for 10 years.
Yep.
And he know the place very well. And that's where he bought this whole strategy in place. Like, let's buy good residential houses on a decent land component, and then leverage our core competency of hosting on Airbnb.
Amazing.
So that's why Hobart.
Great. And Gary, what made Tasmania sort of stand out as a market to play?
I think it's the fundamental that we talk about every single day, and a lot of investors have been ignoring. There's a funny story, when you say you're from Tasmania, people say, "Oh, do you guys use Australian dollars?" So, I mean, that's how people have treated Tasmania, and it's been left out for such a long time. But the situation's being same, as across the country. There is a big imbalance between the supply and demand, shortages of houses, rental yields are pretty good.
Yeah.
There are not enough builders, there are not enough land developers, being a small island. So these are the fundamentals. And Hobart is the last capital in Australia right now where you can actually get anything below $1 million. And when you're talking about, if you invest about $1 million, you're looking at a big land block where you can do a value add granny subdivision. So the fundamentals been stacking up really well, and then you top it up with the Airbnb strategy. You're flying.
Yeah, amazing. And Bhav, you're going to compare like traditional rental to an Airbnb rental, and this is where maybe you can compare, because you played in Melbourne market as well, right? So talk to me, like, do you think Melbourne is overrated, especially the traditional renting, with the rental laws in Victoria as well, which a lot of people get afraid of, especially, it's not so much favored towards the landlord, but it's more favored towards the tenants. How do you compare that one with Airbnb?
So again, we talk about this all the time. This cash flow through Airbnb is the cherry on the cake. That's our not number one priority. Priority is always capital growth. You buy somewhere where it grows in value and it allows you to purchase your second and third investment. This Airbnb is like cherry on the cake. So talking about comparing this Melbourne with Hobart, again, as Gary mentioned, to buy a decent house with a decent land component, again, it comes to entry point, right? We can get a very good asset under $700,000, $750,000, but you can't get anything like this here in Melbourne. Right? That's one. Talking about the rental yields, I talk about this all the time. Worst case with long-term rental is still better than the best case. Worst case with Airbnb is still better than the best case with long-term rental.
Fair enough. Yeah, amazing. So talk to me some of the, like, how are the returns different? Like, what have been like your experience in terms of, are we talking sort of 1x, 1.5x, 2x, 3x? Like, what's the best return that we can get?
So we anticipate to get 2 times of what we get through long-term rental.
Amazing.
And we have got best case scenarios where it's close to three times of what you get through long-term rental.
And Gary, I think you posted something about this as well. Like, what is the most a single property has made in a month with the short-term rental?
15 grand.
15 grand. Yeah.
And that's not even in the in the busy period, which is a summer season. So I think what people most underestimate the short-term rental industry is that it's not only tourism. So tourism is like 50% of what you get of tourism that keeps you floating as a short-term rental management company. But if now we're sitting here, if you're having issue, plumbing issue, structural issue, and if you need a place, I'm going to look for somewhere close to my suburb. So that's where the rest of the demand comes from. Corporate bookings, local doctors traveling, they need place, and they book long term. and that's more profitable because there are no cleaning
100%.
costs.
Correct. Yeah, I think cleaning is a big sort of an expense. So if you can reduce that with the longer sort of period where you can occupy the premise, I think nothing like it. So Baj, what was one property where it made you think, yes, this strategy actually works? So can you run me through that property and the numbers?
Gary's own first property.
Okay.
So it is a like trophy investment. Like
Yeah.
I look at it like if we can get one or two like this in our portfolio, like
Yeah.
nothing
Happy
better. So
days.
happy days. Yeah, we all be laughing. So he got this property for 800, which made $97,000 on Airbnb in his first year. And because looking at the demand, he converted the garage into a granny flat. So manufactured even more equity. So how good is that? So if you look at numbers perspective now, the property is yielding 14% rental return.
Amazing. That's crazy. Yeah. All right. I'll maybe do a different spin. Yeah. This is could be a very dark question, but do you think Airbnb is ethical during a housing crisis?
You look at this way,
Yeah.
like as an investor, if you don't invest, I mean, this again coming back to the returns, how are we getting returns? People need accommodation, right? We are getting paid for the convenience.
Yep.
Right? There are people who want properties for short-term rental period for XYZ reason.
Yeah.
Whether coming for their job, exploring the area for their maybe shifting out there.
Yes.
There is no solution out there.
Yeah.
Like particularly in Hobart, where we are very bullish and we are like pretty much being very out loud that you should be doing the same. Let me give you a perspective around it. We acquired a cleaning company for our Airbnb business, right? One of our team member wants to get a long-term rental there.
Okay.
We think we are heroes of Hobart, right? We know a lot of real estate agents. We have bought multiple properties out there. Think of it this way. It's true. We couldn't get an apartment for our team member for 4 months.
Wow. Yeah. So there is genuine shortage for
So what do we do
properties,
about
especially
that?
the rental market. But do you think Airbnb is the reason for it? Like, do you think Airbnb is causing, more sort of competition, as in like more and more people are going towards short-term accommodation, which is causing a shortage for the long-term accommodation?
I mean, again, we can be capitalist, we can be liberal. It's all about the perspective, right? But now talking here, we are getting paid to create convenience. There is already a demand in place, and as a business, we are doing something to solve that problem. And everyone is happy. Our investors, us as a business, and the guests who are booking it.
And I'll add a couple of things here. This morning, we got a booking of $23,000 for 84 days.
Wow.
So this young couple, they've got young kids. They had a pipe burst at their place.
Insurance,
So where are they going to go? Like, can they go and live in hotel? No, they can't.
No.
So
they need a home.
They reached out to us and they said, oh, we loved your place. It's available for a month, but we need it for minimum 84 days. Can you do anything about it? My team get onto it and they moved few bookings. They got them work. But, Airbnb is not something to blame for housing crisis.
Yes.
I think, as an investor, our investors, how it works. They work hard, right? They work bloody hard and they want their money to work hard. And that's what we've been doing. So if you talk about housing crisis, I think the government need to chip in. I mean, that's their, that's their role in the economy or, that's
no, absolutely. Yeah, well said. I think it's all to do with the supply and the construction. I think that's the kind of, the real reason. Now let's talk about like one thing investors really like is like the flexibility with Airbnb. So let's talk about that. What do you think, like what does short stay allow you to do that traditional renting doesn't?
It's monetary benefit is one, and then obviously flexibility is another one. It's a flex. I'm sitting with my friend and saying, I've got an Airbnb, I've got a shack in Hobart, and then next time, if you want to come down and we'll go again, we'll book our place. So that's a flexibility, and with the long-term lease, you're locked out. You cannot even go to the property if you want to, isn't it? So with this one, flexibility is there, and for XYZ reason, if you're not getting the returns or, you can convert it to a long-term rental within a week. You can just rent out your full place as a fully furnished long-term rental. So that's the flexibility.
I mean, I also see that if you want to sell, then you've got a stage property ready to put it onto the market. You want to get photos taken, you can get it taken, right? So I think that's a big flexibility as well. So do you think like traditional rentals are becoming outdated because of this now?
No, I mean nothing right or wrong.
Yeah.
There are investors. There's no right or wrong answer about it. But
Yeah.
again, to add to what you Gary said, we are running it like a hospitality business now, right? There is a lot of upside. Your
Yeah.
rental is not limited.
Yeah.
So the whole business works in a way that you optimize your calendar throughout the year and you maximize it on the hot dates of the year.
Yep.
Right?
Makes
So
sense.
that's from an investor point of view. That's what we all do as
Yeah.
business owners,
Yeah.
right? We try and optimize our system and maximize wherever we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it works as a business, right? Each property that you add to your portfolio, it's almost like you're acquiring a business, right? And you want to get maximum returns out of it as well, right? So now there's a bit of a myth that if you can either chase cash flow or you can chase capital growth, right? So there's a myth that cash flow properties don't grow in value. So people say this myth with commercial properties. Could be a myth with Airbnb that the Airbnb is a lifestyle property and it's great for a holiday home, but it's not so much great for when you look at your net numbers you don't see. So where are some of the like common pitfalls or mistakes that investors make, especially when they're investing in short stay accommodations?
So that's good thing that you said. It's not just Airbnb, it's short-term rentals.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So it's Airbnb is one of the platform
Yeah.
that is getting us the booking.
Yeah.
Then there is booking.com, Stays, our direct booking website,
Yeah.
and insurance companies reaching out to us,
Yeah.
corporates reaching out to us. So it's basically providing the housing solution to
Yep.
the one who is looking forward to it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, the whole myth that I would say is the biggest one is it's not just tourist or holiday makers who books it.
Yep.
It's a short-term rental accommodation. You are buying a residential asset
Yep.
that you are buying in a good suburb that tends to grow.
Yep.
Not chasing after a regional town just for rental yield where there is no proper track record of significant growth.
Yep.
You're buying in good assets, like good area where there is constant demand. It were in demand 20 years ago.
Yes.
It is in demand now, and it
Yep.
will be in demand 20 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gary, do you think like the strategy of capital growth over cash flows, or there are traditional investors, who think investing is purely for capital growth? Like you think of, markets like Sydney and Melbourne where property prices are already so expensive, where people are just entering or like, investing into blue chip markets for the safe, 3%, 4% returns every year, and they're happy with that. Do you think those days are gone and that's overrated now? And now the modern investor also want cash flow with the capital growth?
Yeah, look, the way I look at it is I look at Airbnb like an oxygen, right? Capital growth is still the god, but Airbnb just keeps you floating. If let's say if you buy in Melbourne, you borrow the money at 7% and you're getting 3.5% yield, you're losing 3%. And Melbourne's been growing about 5%, so you're making 2%. That's not even sure. So that's not an investment. So yes, cash flow, again, that's where the due diligence comes. That's where, you need people like us who live and breathe, these strategies and the market. So if I give you my house property, the first one where we started this business from, it's the gross yield is 14%. Right. So if I say I borrow the money 100%, I pay the mortgage at 6.5%.
Yeah.
My management company fee 3% cleaning. I'm still making net 4%, and I don't care how the market goes.
Amazing. Yeah.
So and you add on top 5% or 6% conservative market growth. I'm laughing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's spot on, right? In terms of what doesn't matter what the markets are doing. You've got capital growth. I think long term, if you invest in property, which has got a bit of land component, value at potential, as you put it, like those things will manufacture capital growth. But if you can balance that with cash flow, it just makes it so much easier to grow your portfolio, which a lot of people get stuck. They buy a wrong property and they're not able to grow their portfolio. All right, some hot things in media right now is the budget release that happened this week. So obviously there's a lot of talk around the government kind of changing the negative gearing and capital gains tax, removing that. Do you think the government accidentally made cash flow investing more attractive?
Yes, they did. And the way I look at it, and also what I could, like, we had a good chat about it the other day, right? And you gave me an insight, which was like their intention was to solve the housing crisis, which is true, right? But how as a byproduct, what happens in the market is the market is going to decide it.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I also reflecting around the new builds
Yes.
side
Yeah.
of like how things are going to be looking forward to,
Yeah.
and the new builds aspect around it. I
Yep.
think that's going to be a lot more favorable for
Yeah.
a lot of investors now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Have you seen the rise in inquiries, like people inquiring about more positive cash flow properties or new builds?
I mean, that's how we market.
Yeah.
So anyone and everyone who's coming to us is coming for the same reason.
Hmm.
If not, they are going to people like you.
Yeah. What are some of the like holding costs and like interest rates and serviceability kind of impacts that you see, or what benefits does have do going down this path of making it a short-term rentals? Like how does it benefit for an investor to kind of grow their portfolio?
I mean, it keeps you floating. Sustainability.
Yeah.
For example, we had a client who reached out to us. He's got a portfolio of 5 properties, and he was really rich on paper. He's got a portfolio of 2 million plus, and net worth of 700-800 or close to $1 million, right? But he was negatively getting $25,000 a year,
Yeah.
and he said, me and Ash had a conversation, and he said he cannot even think of changing his car. He cannot even think of changing his phone.
Yeah,
That's-
stuck. Yeah.
That's not the purpose of investing,
Yeah.
right? Yes, you want to have a better life once you close to winding down or you close to retirement. But
Yeah.
what about today? So I think that's where you need to play around. The benefit is yes. So you have this. If you get consistent cash flow out of Airbnb properties, that helps you to grow.
Yep.
Because you can borrow again. You are not struggling to make the ends meet. So I think yes, you need to have a balance. I'm not saying put all your properties on a short-term rental.
Of course, yeah. But also diversifying within that as well. So as you mentioned, there's multiple ways to achieve that outcome, but you do need cash flow, type of assets. Whether you do that through commercial properties, whether you do that through rooming house, Airbnb, but yeah, you do need cash flow, or you need some sort of an active income, whether you're getting that through your business or other investments, where you do need cash flow, which works as a fuel. So if your vehicle for you to get to point A to point B is capital growth, then cash flow is your fuel to get there.
My former employer used to say that's why he was my former employer. I mean, he's a really successful guy.
Yeah.
There was a thing that stayed with me. One of my colleagues said like cash is king. I don't know exactly where the conversation started.
Yeah.
But, like cash is king, and he appeared out of nowhere and said no, cash flow is the king.
Cash flow, yeah.
And
So I think parking your money in assets, especially in the high inflation environment right now, parking your money in assets, you really just want to beat inflation. As long as you are beating inflation, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So amazing. All right, so for average kind of person out there, how do they know that Airbnb deal actually stacks up? So we're just going to refer to as Airbnb. Now we get it that it's a short-term stay accommodation, but let's just focus on Airbnb because that's a platform everybody knows. What are some of the things which is like threshold that you would look at? So I'll throw maybe a term and you can just tell me the percentage or the stats, right? Minimum occupancy, right?
70%.
Amazing. And location?
Location, you look at the data.
Yeah.
There are a few tools out there where you can get an insight.
Yeah.
So you track that and you see how the properties close by are performing, and then basis that.
Yeah, amazing. Property type?
House with a decent land component.
Amazing. All right. And setup costs?
Are you looking at 20,000?
Cool. Furniture budget?
That's the setup cost.
That's the setup cost?
20,000.
20,000 covers it all? Amazing. Perfect. All right, next segment. This is going to be a fun one. This is a new segment that we are adding for this particular episode. We're calling it hot takes. So I'll give you some of my hot takes and you tell me whether they're true or not. Okay, I'll start with you, Gary. Negative gearing created bad investors.
I think so, yes. Yeah, I agree.
I agree with it as well. Yeah, I think it's just that it was just almost too easy. You just stroll on like real estate, or you just go check your local area and just buy any property that you see. It doesn't work. And like that, I think especially with this policy changes, if it does go through next month, obviously there's a Senate meeting which will decide if this budget actually goes through. It will actually create a very clear divide between like noob investors versus investors who are smart, who are able to kind of, navigate through this and, tweak their strategies and still come out on top. I think we're going to see that strong sort of change. All right, next one. Buying one amazing investment beats owning 5 average properties. Is 5 a big number?
No, I mean, like, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say buying 5 assets
Yeah.
would be the right thing to do instead of buying
If you
one.
can.
If you can.
Service
Again,
it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's subjective, but
amazing.
yeah.
All right. The biggest mistake investors make is chasing tax benefits instead of returns.
Absolutely. I mean, negative gearing is not the investment. You're investing because you want a capital growth. So they're chasing the wrong thing. Like if you lose $100 and you're getting back 37 out of it, you're still losing how much? 73, 63?
Spot on. Yeah. No, amazing. For Airbnb, an ugly property in the right area beats a beautiful property in the wrong area.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Next segment is Mythbusters. We do this in every episode. So I'm gonna, we're gonna do some myth busting. So myth number 1: Airbnb is passive income.
Yes.
It is.
If it's done right.
Okay.
Then it could be your passive income.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Myth number 2: you need luxury homes for Airbnb.
No, you don't.
You don't. Short stay is too risky.
It could be again. You have to do a proper due diligence. It could be risky if not done right.
Yeah, cool. All right, traditional rentals are safer.
Again, it may sound repetitive, but worst case with Airbnb still better than the best case with long-term rental.
Yeah, you stick by those words. Amazing. All right, we're gonna talk about some case studies. So maybe share an example of a property share the purchase price, the strategy, and that's like it's a perfect example. Like if you want to explain somebody or bring them on this journey in terms of buying a property, converting that into a short-term rental. Which one would you pick?
Yeah, I'll pick the very first one. When the business kicked off, there was a property in Tasmania. We bought it for $450. No one was touching it. I went and had a look. I jumped on flight and had a look. And no one was looking into it. No owner occupiers, nothing. And it was right in the middle of the suburb. And we bought it for $450. We invested $70,000. Turned around the property in 8 weeks. Put another bathroom. And now that property generates a minimum $5,000 return net after the cleaning cost, after our management company cost, after all the expenses, all the consumables, at minimum giving them $5,000, and in the hot period it's about $8,000
every month.
Amazing. And now that's only the cash flow.
That's just one property.
Just one property. That's the cash flow side of things.
Yeah.
So, and from the capital growth of side of things, we manufactured equity. By doing a smart renovation.
Yeah.
Again, it's not for everyone, but if you got budget and if you trust the team, then now that property is valued after the renovation $634,000.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, that's a great.
Adding some more context to this one.
Yeah.
We bought this for our client, purchased, contract got unconditional. We went there. I literally got scared entering into the property.
Yeah, we've been to a few. Yeah.
It was like
crazy.
that.
All right. So next segment is rapid fire round. So you just have to answer in one word only. All right. I'll start with you, Bhavesh. Hobart or Melbourne?
Hobart.
All right. Cool. Airbnb or long-term rental?
For me, Airbnb.
Yeah. Best Airbnb feature?
Flexibility to stay yourself, creating memories for the investors.
Yeah. Biggest red flag?
For Airbnbs?
For like when you're picking your locations or...
Oh, neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Ideal occupancy, right?
So we run our numbers on 70%.
Yes, 70%. Anything more than 70%
is
would
a
be
bonus.
Good. Yeah. All right, cool. One suburb that you're watching out for and you want everybody to watch for that suburb as well.
Looks surreal. I'm heavily invested there.
I like surreal.
We had this discussion.
All right. So if there is one thing that this episode proves is that investors today are looking for more than just growth. They want flexibility, cash flow, lifestyle, and control. Thanks, Gary and Bhavesh, for joining us, The Property Triangle. If you're thinking about Airbnb or short stay investing, hopefully this episode gives you the real insight into what's possible. For more valuable content, subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify channels. Thank you.